I have shows to announce. I also have a lot of gratitude today, and we're freshly updated. All of my softwares, I have gone through and updated all kinds of stuff. Okay, shows. First and foremost, yes, Liberty Fest, Laurinburg, North Carolina. That's July the 4th through the 6th at the ATV Park, 600 acres of ATV fun, and also music and vendors and all kinds of opportunities as a family. Or if you want to leave the kids, put a doggy gate up. Don't do that. I'm totally kidding. Just come and bring the kids. There's a kids side, there's a family side, there's also the adult side. 4th through 6th of July, Liberty Fest, I celebrating America's independence in the United States of America. But more importantly, we're raising awareness and funds for our homeless veterans. Why in the hell are veterans, anyone really, but veterans in particular who devote their lives and put their lives on the line to protect our freedoms? No one should be homeless, especially our veterans. So we are going to be raising money, awareness, and funds for Wounded Warriors projects, other local organizations specific to the Laurinburg, North Carolina area. If you are in and around North Carolina, or if you want to make a big family trip, head on over to Laurinburg, 4th through 6th of July. And also, well, I'll get to that. How about August 3rd? Whiskey Joe's, Pensacola, Florida. Yeah, I'm in Pensacola, Florida on August the 3rd. August the 10th, I'll be at D-Max in Orange Beach. That's Alabama, right by Florida. I had to Google that. September 7th, I'll be in Ennis, Texas at Race Wars. And why I was tripped up a moment ago, VIP experiences are available right this moment for $100. We have limited tickets available for meet and greets, hangouts with yours truly. There's going to be free giveaways. There's also going to be opportunities to really get to know one another on a personal level before each and every show. Click in the show notes and description to get your VIP experience tickets now. Let us know which event. Seats are limited. Tickets are limited. We are limiting 50 per show. Please know that the VIP experience ticket does not cover or include the show entry itself. That is a separate expense. VIP experience is available now, as well as new merch. Look at this. Look at this swag. The Musician Mortician tee. I have to say, we have been selling the hell out of brand new merch. You all have been showing up. The store in the show notes. Everyone who purchases, until I decide otherwise, anything. Because I want to say thank you for listening to, for streaming, for sharing Villain, to support you, for supporting me. We're giving away limited edition vinyls while supplies last. It's a $40 value plus shipping. I'm literally sending those out at no cost. Go to the store, buy anything, hoodie, shirt, hat, pants, you get it. Head on over to the store, grab you some swag, and I'll send you a vinyl while supplies last, of course. Those are all of your updates. Get your VIP tickets. Those are the shows. And Villain is, of course, streaming everywhere now. This is episode, oh my gosh, 199, season 3, episode 199 of You'll Die Trying. It is a show, has been a show, which pulls back the curtain and takes down the walls brick by brick and exposes the true hearts of those caring for those that you love most. I can't believe we're at 199. This has been quite the experience. It's been all over the place, and that's my brain. And today, we're going back to basics. And by basics, I just mean we're going to tell some ghost stories. Ghost stories. This is kind of what the bread and butter of this and YouTube and all of those. Be sure to follow me on all the socials because it's, supportive. You're telling the algorithm, hey, I like this guy. And always the Triers Club. It is an exclusive group of us building a community, a meaningful one, because outside of the art, outside of the creation, outside of what I share with you, what does it even matter if we're not building meaningful relationships and connections? And that, my friends, is what the Triers Club is all about. First looks, first listens, first watches, all of the exclusives. Like you're going to hear this episode if you're a trier long before someone else does. Yeah, head on over to the Triers Club right there in the show notes. And you have free versions, you have paid. Of course, the paid members get more perks, free giveaways all of the time. And of course, you are my label. I don't have a label. I'm an independent artist. I don't want to sign. I want to be independent. I want you to help me pick the next single, which of course the next single, yes, I'm going to use based upon what the Triers selected. It was going to be, that's a long story. They know me. It's good. We're good, right? Okay, become a Trier. Triers, chime in and let them know to become a Trier. Okay, let's tell ghost stories now. Actually, let's not tell ghost stories now. This is Father's Day weekend. Father's Day weekend is, well, it's great for a lot of us. I'm a dad. I'm a proud dad. 4 boys, healthy boys that I love more than anything in this world. And they've helped me realize that without family, without relationships, without them, this is all meaningless and pointless. It really is, because that's my legacy. And some of us don't have the privilege to be a parent, and I get that. So your legacy would then be your family and, kindness and inclusion and compassion for. And that is what I try to teach my boys. But that's great for me. And those of you, maybe you were raised and you didn't have a dad, didn't have a father figure, didn't even have a parental figure. And so this day might be a challenging one. Maybe you have anger and sadness, and I meet you here. I sympathize and I empathize. And I think it's important to let you know that you can be what you never received for someone else. And I mean, maybe your parent was absent. Maybe you had no parent and you don't have a kid perhaps, but maybe joining as a mentor of the Boys and Girls Club, or maybe you have a nephew or niece, or maybe someone in your neighborhood that really looks up to you and they always want to come over and talk to you while you're trying to trim your hedges. I was that kid, by the way. Being patient with them, maybe being a little bit more inclusive, give them opportunity to see and experience love that maybe you didn't get. And so happy Father's Day to the parents, the fathers, the father figures, the men who stepped up and didn't have to be and didn't have to, and the mothers who have dual roles right now. May you be blessed. Cheers to you. Jeremy, this is for you. On my YouTube channel, Nathan Morris Music, we started doing a lot of paranormal stuff. That's kind of what the bread and butter was. And then it kind of went all over the place. It's kind of an ebb and flow wave. It's whatever I'm kind of feeling in my gut. Right now, my belly's filled with coffee, and I love it. It's all warm. Excuse me while I take a sip of this black deliciousness. I've always been hesitant to really share personal paranormal, because it has this very negative, it's very negative in thought because it's so paranormal. I mean, a lot of people don't believe in it, and I think it's because, of course, why? Well, you can't explain it. But I think that's also why all of us really love it. And we love this thought and this idea of the paranormal, because it is the unexplained, and we're intrigued by that. And we're also intrigued in finding the answer. And so there's this just weird dynamic dichotomy there. But I don't necessarily always share my personal stories of past, because I don't want people to be like, yeah, this guy's a nut job. And it's not so much that I care what people think. I think it's a credibility thing too, right? I think it's, you just don't want to sound like a crackhead. I don't know. Maybe I am worried too much about what people think in regards to that. Do you have a paranormal story? Because we're going to talk a little bit about those. And I am going to share some stories right this second, as far as names have been changed, but we're kind of going across the globe. We're going across the pond on some of these. I've done a ton of research. Are they real? Are they not real? They've been corroborated as far as, and as much as corroboration can be. I don't know. I mean, it's written on paper, so it must be true, right? Let's go to London. Okay, this is called the Mournful Phantom. Almost said Pantom. Wow. Phantom of London. This story, it takes us to a historic funeral home in London. And then you got to go with me, all right? Shut your eyes, grab a Snuggie, get a warm glass of tea. All right, here we go. Late one night. I'm reading this because I wrote it and I want to get it right. So this is going to be read for all of you watching. Yes, every episode is available on YouTube. And of course, you can watch it, listen to it at the same time. So I'm going to read from a handy dandy notebook here. Late one night, a funeral director named Margaret, changed her name, was working late, preparing for the next day's service. And as she arranged flowers, she heard soft sobbing. Thinking it was a grieving family member, she went to offer her support and condolences, but to her surprise, the chapel was absolutely empty. You've heard this kind of stuff before. The sobbing continued, growing louder and more heart-wrenching. She followed the sound to an old portrait of a young woman who had died tragically in the 1800s. It's said that the woman's spirit remains mourning her untimely death still in this funeral home. Well, I would presume that the portrait is of someone in the family that was in the residence. What are your thoughts on that? This is the Whispering Walls in New Orleans. New Orleans is riddled with a bunch of paranormal activity, they say. I mean, there's tons of stories out of New Orleans. You should see all my older content, previous content. You can check it out, Nathan Marsh Music, on the YouTube. New Orleans, it's rich history, vibrant culture, harbors many tales of paranormal. At a well-known funeral home in the French Quarter, staff have reported hearing whispers coming from the walls. One evening, a funeral director was closing up when he heard distinct voices calling his name. He turned to see a shadowy figure disappear into the wall. The voice is believed to be that of a former owner who is known for his close relationships with his clients and client families, refusing to leave even in death. That's what I hope. I hope that when I die, I just will go and respectfully haunt all of the locations in which I once operated. Yeah. Okay. In Tokyo, a modern funeral home that was built on the grounds of this ancient temple has its own eerie story. Okay, we're paused there. So it's an ancient temple. Like, isn't Japan like really, really serious about honoring their heritage and history? And why would they knock down? Okay, well, that's what I wanted to point out. So a funeral director, his name is Eiko. It does matter, but it doesn't matter in this sense because I can't pronounce it right, so I didn't change that name. Often noticed shadows moving in the peripheral vision of this director. One night, while preparing for a funeral, she saw a shadowy figure standing by by her. As she approached, the figure vanishes, leaving behind a chilling cold. Local legends say that this temple ground area, they were once a site of rituals, and the spirits of those involved still roam, unable to find peace. Interesting. I remember many nights you go and shut off all the lights at the funeral homes. You blow out the candles if they're Catholic. And one particular night, all 4 rooms were full. One with just flowers, and then the other 3 were loved ones. Now, it was called like a overflow area where the flowers were. So you have your big chapel. Anyway, the smaller room in the middle of the funeral home, when I went in there, I still remember where the loved one was reposing in the casket. It was this very dark and heavy feeling. And I hadn't had that feeling really before. Now, I can't recall another time. People who are in the paranormal world, they call about energy, and energy is a real thing, and you have positive and you have negative, and in death, I don't think that energy just goes away, right? And you're bringing in all these loved ones that mostly are good people, but not necessarily all of them. And in this case, it was one of those experiences where I could not wait to get out of the room. This person in life, I'm not a judge or jury. However, they may not have been very nice. That's all I'll say there. It was just very odd. And then in Mexico City, because we're going on to another story of spookiness, we're talking about, tales of funeral directors having paranormal-esque experiences. Think about the number of beautiful souls that come through the 4 walls of a funeral home establishment. You're welcoming in the bodies of that once housed the souls of many different people who led different lives, lifestyles, chose to do things or not do things that had consequences, whether positive or negative. And again, I'm not one to judge, but of course, I would think that there might be 1 or 2 within those thousands that weren't necessarily good people. So you're going to get some unique experiences, perhaps. And in Mexico City, this individual, we'll call her Maria, often heard footsteps echoing through the halls long after everyone had left. And then one night, the director decided to stay late and just investigate these footsteps. Following the sound, she reached a locked room As she opened it, the footsteps ceased, and she was met with a sudden drop in temperature. It's believed that these are the footsteps of a former caretaker still doing their rounds. It's very common for there to be cold spots. It's also common for funeral homes to have locked doors. I mean, that's what's intrigued us. Have you ever gone to a visitation as a kid and you're like, what's behind that door? What's back there, guys? Well, that's where they do the thing that is called the embalming. What's that word that I say all the time on TikTok at Nathan Morris Music where people are like, I love how he says that. I'm trying to, what's the word? And I am quoting Zach Galifianakis. I can't think of it. But people are like, I like how he says it. I'm like, I'm totally trying to be funny. Because they're not being serious about how they say it. They like how I say it. The pianist in Vienna, the ghostly pianist in Vienna. Yeesh. Okay. There's a funeral home that is this beautiful, exquisite, like pristine premier funeral home. You have value brands, you have cremation societies. We could talk about that another time for sure. This is a funeral home that has this beautiful piano. And a lot of funeral homes now will have, grand pianos, baby grand pianos. My friend Tyler in Ohio, they had pianos in all of their locations, and they would have pianists come and just play during visitation. Very pretty. Okay, there was a piano playing in the chapel in Vienna one night. While closing up, the director heard the familiar tune and went to investigate. To his shock, he found an old, dusty piano with no one around. The melody is said to be from a composer who had his funeral there a few decades prior, his love for music persisting beyond the grave. So the piano was playing a tune. It wasn't like an auto-playing piano, but it was a memorable and noticeable little ditty, and they recognized the ditty, and it was someone that had died a couple of decades prior. That's interesting, right? Yeah. Funeral homes, they're not just places that they're not just places that the living come and pay their respects. They're also places that house the deceased. And as I've said before, it's who are we to think that these loved ones that have lived lives, maybe in death, don't bring some of their funk, their crud, their goodness, their not so goodness with them to the funeral home. That's why I turn to prayer. Whatever you turn to, I meet you here. And here is wherever you are in this moment. In this moment, I am grateful for your support of Villain. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. It's amazing how when things are just kind of they're coasting a little bit, right? And you're putting out content that you believe in, but you're not, ruffling feathers. And then you release a song called Villain. This song is, if you've been with me for quite some time, I think you can read between the lines. I think that if you've been with me for a long time, you've seen he who without sin cast the first stone. And it seems we have a lot of sinless people, a lot of judgy people, a lot of people who know nothing, and act as they do, or okay, let's backtrack. A couple weeks before the release, if you recall, I said, hey, don't believe everything that you see or hear or read, blah, blah, blah. I warned everybody. I basically had concocted this idea with management, and they had come up with this, okay, we're going to put you in an orange jumpsuit, and you're going to do all these random things. But before that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a picture of me with my iPhone and Photoshop it was a terrible Photoshop. I'm not great with Photoshop, but I'm not at all. And I'm glad I'm intentionally doing this. That's the purpose. So I've released this photo, and I just said, hey, I'm cooperating with management and my publicist. Didn't say anything about being arrested. And then there was a link, and then it went to a satirical article, and then every one of the links within this article was driven you to pre-save my song Villain. That's out now. It's streaming everywhere, which you can listen to if you haven't yet. And people in droves thought I was arrested. It was like one of the most Googled things that was Nathan Morris. It was amazing, really. But it even made its way into the courts, like in regards to the divorce, which was really funny. I might edit that out, maybe not, but no, I don't have a record of any kind. There's nothing that I'm facing. Basically, this song is a song that it was corroborated by that, basically, is what my point is. I mean, like, it affirmed why I wrote the song in the first place. What people don't know about you, they're going to make up. Just because it's on paper doesn't mean it's real. It's absurd that people say, think, feel what they think, but it's not mine to control. It's not yours to control. People are going to say, think, feel what they want about you, and that's none of your business. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't define how you feel and think about yourself, and you must keep going and keep showing up. And that whole marketing ploy was actually almost pulled it, because I knew it would spark what it did. It's amazing how much I've grown and how much healthier I am, and I'm okay with it, because no one does. You don't want people to not like you. You don't want people to talk poorly of you. You know, we want people to like us. We want friends. We want to defend ourselves whenever we feel wronged, and there's no reason to. And so I released this song that I wrote with Kayla Diamond, my friend in Canada, a great producer, great woman, and very talented. And that's where I was in life. And it's like, you know, I'll put the lyrics in the show notes. But it's just my life, specifically in the past year, but even further and beyond that. And it kind of wraps a couple of personal experiences in the song, and they kind of intertwine in some instances. And, you know, if you want to jump on that sheep wagon, cool. You know, cool. Fuck off. I appreciate all of you all supporting me. It's this song that's about bullies, and you're good enough, you're valued, you're worthy, you're worth it. It's not lip service, it's real, it's true, and people don't define you. Not at all. We've covered a lot today. Ghost stories and villain, and I really look forward to meeting you in these new VIP experiences. That's all available in the show notes right now. Grab it. If you are a trier, you get a discount to that too, but you got to be a trier to get those discounts. And that's just perks everywhere. You are my label, and I always want you to know how valued you are. And by clicking and saving and streaming, just those simple acts, you're telling the platform, I like Nathan. I want more of Nathan. And we're working diligently to give you experiences. And this VIP experience is going to be really fun. And I look forward to meeting you. And I'm grateful for your support. Get your merch, get your swag, sending out vinyls while they last, autograph vinyls. I draw a picture inside all of the boxes that they ship in. I actually am personally shipping them too. I've shipped out like 58 now, I think it was. It was a lot of 8s, a lot. I don't know. Grab your swag. Thank you for your support. It means a lot to me. Who gives a shit what people think about you? Thank you to all of the father figures and all those people who stepped up. And if you don't have a father figure, maybe you can be a figure to someone that's of meaning that you possibly missed out on. And in turn, that might just provide some healing. $199 is in the bag. For $200, I don't know what we're going to do. We might throw some confetti and some glitter. I don't know. I don't know. All right, you're loved far more than you could ever know. This is You'll Die Trying. I'm Nathan. I'm wearing my shirt. Grab one. All right, see ya.